Good morning everyone, good evening, and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Desmos, and you are welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new, on this channel I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse, I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal self-development. And if any of that stuff resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us. Give us a like, share this video with your friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Now, normally when I'm starting my videos, I say I encourage you to share these videos, and I do this on purpose because remember, when you find this video, that means that video, it has been meant for you. But at the same time, it's not everybody has got access to this kind of content. So sometimes you can help these other individuals that you know. There's people that you may be knowing going through this kind of situations. So you might as well, guys, share these videos with them. There's always one or two things to learn, and there's always a way to heal. So I'm going to talk about the trauma bond. Last time I did a video about the trauma bond, and now I'm going to let you know exactly how to tell that you have defeated the trauma bond. And in this video, I'm going to ask you guys to listen very, very, very closely, because I'm going to give you the information probably you've never had anywhere else. So I was reading a few comments recently, and there was a lot of people talking about the trauma bond. You know, a lot of people are going through the discard. So if you're a person out there and you find yourself, you have been discarded by the narcissist, but for some reason you're still struggling to let them go, you're still struggling to, you're still thinking about them. You know, when you're talking about the soul tie, now I'll be mixing some of these terms. I may talk about the soul tie, I may talk about the trauma bond, but it all means the same thing. Now, when you have left a narcissist, you have got to understand something, guys. You have left with the trauma bond. Let me repeat this. When you have been discarded by the narcissist, you have got to know you have been discarded and you're still having the trauma bond with them. So you're still tied to them. So when I'm talking about the trauma bond, I'm talking about that sweet and sour feeling at the same time. So these individuals, you are very, very much aware of that. They are toxic and they are very, very dangerous. But at the same time, your soul cannot let them go. Your heart cannot let them go. It looks as if from each and every single move you make, they're on the back of your mind. Now, there's no problem with having a soul tie with a healthy individual, because it doesn't always mean that people separate only in situations whereby they're dealing with the narcissists. So there can also be situations whereby you're dealing with a person who is healthy. Yes, you might have a soul tie with them, but it's a healthy one. You know what I mean? So most of the cases when you're separating with them, it doesn't get that bad as it doesn't get that as bad as it gets in the same way that you separate with the narcissist. It's going to be different. Now, it was very easy for me to understand the trauma bond at the discard. And I'm going to tell you some of the discoveries I made in that entanglement. So basically, at the end of that relationship, that entanglement, at the discard, that is when I knew there was something wrong. Yes, I'd always known something was wrong, and I'd always tried to figure out things, but I never knew how serious this was. In my videos, I've always appealed to you guys, when you are dealing with a narcissist, if I've been dealing with a narcissist, there is no excuse. You have got to make every possible move you have to make, every desperate move to get out of that entanglement. Because guys, at the end of the disentanglement, at the discard, that is when I knew that I was in a very serious situation. You know what I mean? So number one, it was very, very completely difficult to let the narcissist go. You know what I mean? As much as I knew 150%, those individuals were very, very extremely dangerous and toxic. For some reason, I couldn't let them go. Each and every single day, they were in the back of my mind. So you are going to now have that situation whereby you're continuously going to gravitate towards the narcissist. You might even sometimes have a situation whereby they already moved in with somebody new, they're already meeting somebody new, but still, you're going to find yourself gravitating towards them. Now, you have got to know something, guys, very, very important. Whatever it is that you feel for the narcissist, whatever it is you feel for them, whatever it is going on with you, that is an illusion. So there is no, and there has never been, I don't want you guys to hear this thing from me, but I have to say this is the page of truth. Whatever it is you think you feel for the narcissist, if you know you have been dealing with a narcissist, or if you know that you have been dealing with somebody extremely dangerous and toxic, whatever it is you have to feel for them, you feel for them, it's an illusion. So there is no relationship, there is no marriage. You have been falling in love, or you have fallen in love, or you have been living in an illusion. The narcissist is an illusion, so they were never there. Now, if you find yourself in a situation whereby you find yourself sneaking up on them, you are going around, probably you guys are going through a discard, and then all of a sudden you find yourself every now and then you're checking on their social media pages, you're trying to know, about their new supply, you're trying to find out about their new supply, who are they dating now, where are they going on the holidays, you're trying to look around for their pictures, even if you guys have separated, you're dealing with a trauma bond. If you find yourself in a situation whereby you cannot sleep, you are constantly, I don't know, for a whole year, waking up every single night, you're crying, you are trying to go back, you're trying to beg them, you're trying to plead with them, you're sending them a daily message every day, you're trying to find every excuse to get into contact with them. Some of you may even sometimes find yourself in a situation whereby you are now visiting those places that you guys used to go. You might have been used to certain cafes, coffee shops, you might have been used to certain restaurants, gym, or things like that. When you find yourself ever visiting those particular places, subconsciously, your soul is still looking for the narcissist. You know they're in those videos, yes, they're dangerous and toxic, but for some reason, you are gravitating towards them every single day. You cannot stop to check your phone, you cannot stop to think about them. It has gone on for years and you cannot break this soul tie or this so-called trauma bond. Now, let me explain something deeper. The narcissist has tied themselves to you, and they have done this on purpose. So for the most of you guys who have been hearing us talking about the trauma bond, the narcissist is tying themselves to you because it is that tie they need. They already know that they're going to leave you at some point. They already know that they have already planned to discard you, even from the very beginning you guys met. They have already planned to discard you. But now they need something that is going to help them find an easy way in. Should need be, they have got to find an easy way in to your life, even after the discard. So because they know at a later stage in time, you're going to come in handy, and they're going to want to come back in. So they form this trauma bond on purpose. And that is the reason why you see you have been discarded by them. They have always been beating you up, they have always been abusing you, they have been stealing from you, they have been destroying you. You already know, you have got a confirmation on the back of your head. Those individuals, they are dangerous to stay around with, but at the same time, you are always on a daily basis gravitating towards them. That is exactly what it feels when I'm talking about the trauma bond. So you are either way, you are still trauma bonded with the narcissist. Now, for somebody to break free from narcissistic abuse, you have got to have a reason for that. You have got to have 1 or 2 or 3 things that is going to help you, and those things you are going to stick to them. Now, first of all, you have got to understand something. You have got to be desperate. For a person to heal from narcissistic abuse, for a person to break a trauma bond, you have got to be desperate. That means you are going to induce very desperate measures, everything you can do, whatever it is you can do to break free. So you are going to induce very, very desperate measures. For me, I'm going to share with you something in this video. One of the things that actually finalized everything, the whole situation I've been dealing with, the method that I use to finalize and to completely break out of this kind of situation, because now I knew this was a desperate situation. I was dealing with somebody extremely, extremely evil and demonic. And I knew that if I don't do anything about this, I may have to end up getting trapped for the rest of my life. I was not ready for that. So I found very desperate measures to live. So for a person who is dealing with a narcissist, you're sneaking up on them, you're checking their media pages, you're calling them, you're always looking on the phone if they're sending a message, you're trying to go to the coffee shops to see if they're hanging around there, you're trying to find out something about the new supply, what are they doing, where are they sleeping, where have they gone on a holiday. You are still trauma bonded with a narcissist. And whatever it is you think you feel for them is some kind of an addiction ship. So there is no individual out there. That person never existed, and they have never been a reality. So There was a question that came in recently, and if I find that question, I will share it with you guys. But if not, don't worry about that. And somebody said they dreamt about they was involved with the narcissist in the dream. So the narcissist appeared to them in the dream. And they had some kind of a confrontation. And I think, if I remember well, like I said, I might share this thing with you, the message with you. Somehow this individual happened to kill, because in that dream, the narcissist happened to come around with children in the dream. So that particular individual, they said that they had actually to kill one of the children of the narcissist because there was some kind of a fight or something like that. Now, guys, you have got to understand something. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you are under spiritual attack. Let me repeat this. When you are dealing with a narcissist, you are under a spiritual attack. Whether you know it or you don't know it, you are under a spiritual attack and you have been attacked spiritually. So that is why you see the narcissist, whatever it is they are doing to you, they make sure that you don't figure it out. They have got to make sure when they are with you, you cannot figure them out, because whatever it is going on behind the scenes, it's a spiritual attack. So they're attacking you on a daily basis, on a very much more spiritual level. One of the ways you're going to confirm this is you're going to see, normally, when you're still involved with those guys, especially I'm talking about those the last days of the narcissist, most of those days you're going to find yourself on each and every single day. You're going to sleep and you're having nightmares. You're going to dream all kinds of beasts. You're going to dream all kinds of animals that you've never seen on this planet. You're going to see all kinds of things in the night. You're going to see a lot of things. That is because you are being attacked on a spiritual level. The narcissist is attacking you spiritually on each and every single day. And sometimes, because you're under attack, most of those things are going to manifest in your dream. In the last days of the narcissist, I can talk about the last weeks. It could have been the last month or something like that. But I remember very well that moment, like yesterday. There was a lot of spiritual attacks going on. And I would dream about so many creatures, different kind of creatures. The creatures that I've never seen before. In that time, I wasn't awakened. So I would sometimes wake up and tell the narcissist, you know what, I had a dream like this, I had a dream like that. And the narcissist will pretend that they're not even listening. You know what I mean? So whatever it is I was saying, it wasn't making any sense. Most of the times, you're going to have a lot of dreams. And those dreams, if you find yourself having a lot of nightmares, you're fighting, you're struggling with different creatures, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're going to find and understand that actually, guys, the person who is next to you, that person you think is your lover or your boyfriend, husband, the person next to you in the bed, that is responsible. That is the person responsible for attacking you on the spiritual level. And that is the person exactly trying to destroy you. So for the most of you guys who are still reluctant, you're still thinking about, maybe you give them a second chance, maybe you do this, maybe you want to go back. Yes, I know it's going to be difficult. Guys, like I've already said, I never always say that you're going to think so, you're going to wake up in the morning and you leave the narcissist. It is always going to become very difficult, but you have got to have a driving force towards your departure. A person who is trying to break free, you're supposed to have the driving force. Well, for me personally, I was looking at the children. So because there was children involved, there was a family involved. So I decided that I was going to do this for my children. I was going to go out, I was going to heal, and I was going to fight for my children. Number one. And secondly, I knew if I didn't do this and fight and get out of this kind of situation, because it had gotten very, very extremely toxic. If I did not do whatever it takes to get out of this situation, I was the individual who was going to suffer the consequences, because there's always consequences to getting involved with this kind of individuals. There's all kinds of consequences: physical, mental, physical problems, mental problems, emotional problems. There is all kinds of problems when they're dealing with a narcissist, and those problems, they cannot stop. They will carry on going on and on and on and on. Now, let's understand something in this video. Like I've said, guys, in my videos, there's a lot of people who are from different races, from different tribes, from different religions, and that I would care less about that, because narcissism, when you're dealing with a narcissist, it doesn't matter what faith you are from, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Catholic, whatever it is, the narcissists, they're everywhere, they affect all of us. So, but in my own way, I had to understand the spiritual perspective, the spiritual side of this whole situation for me to find the healing methods. And believe me, guys, when I got out of that was after when I got out of the The second time of the discard, actually, the second time of the discard, I'm the one who discarded the narcissist. So I'm the one who got out of it. But the first discard, the narcissist performed the first discard, but I personally performed the second discard. So that's when I knew I was going to get out there. I was going to find every desperate means that I would use to make sure that I break this tie, because I knew there was this tie that I had to desperately break out of it. I had to find every way I could do. In my videos, you guys have seen me. I've continuously shared so many ways you guys can do when you're dealing with the trauma bond, how to break out of that, you know what I mean? So I've shared with you guys a prayer. There's 2 videos I did. I'm going to share those videos in the link below. For the most of you guys who are new on this channel, I'm going to share these 2 videos with you in the link below. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the third method that I've never talked about, which is the spiritual method. So the first one was, the first method I shared was breaking the soul tie with prayer. Because I understand a lot of you guys out there, you're prayerful and you pray and this and that, which is okay. Everybody have got their own right to believe whatever it is they want to believe. The second method, I shared it because I knew there was guys, probably they have not been religious people, they don't know how to pray, but they can actually approach this situation in a much more practical format. So I shared also a practical format of how you can break out of a trauma bond, or something what they call a soul tie. So those 2 methods I've already mentioned before, like I've said, I'm going to share them in the link below, and you guys are going to revisit. For the most of you guys who have just found this channel, I'm going to help you to revisit those channels, and they're going to help you understand how the trauma bond works, how the soul tie works, and how you can break out of it. The third method that came to me, those were the days of my awakening, because remember, like I've told you guys, I awakened from narcissistic abuse. So the third method, what came to me, I knew that there was something I had to do with my brain, because remember, everything what is happening in that entanglement, in those kind of encounters, there is a part of the brain that they call the subconscious mind, and the narcissist has spent a very significant amount of time playing around with the brain. That's why you see a lot of guys are going through the brain fog. Your brains are starting to get shut down. Your brain cannot think anymore. It's like now your life is at a standstill. You cannot move from place to A to B. You've already started forgetting things. I knew that there was something wrong with my brain. The narcissist had already manipulated my brain and already put my brain to rest. You know what I mean? So what I did, and now started to go through a lot of research and understand how the brain works. And then now finally, that's when I understood that actually the brain, it listens to frequencies. I've always mentioned, guys, in my videos, everything you see on this universe is about energy, frequency, and vibration. We've always talked about the energy of the narcissist, which we already know is a toxic energy and a very negative energy. We have already talked about frequencies. I've already mentioned, guys, the NAC frequency and how they operate. So the NAC frequency is that frequency of fear, hate, guilt, blame, torture, and all these kind of things. So the NAC frequency, the NAC operates on a very low frequency. You know what I mean? So they have to make sure that they share that frequency with you. You know what I mean? Because the narcissists, they already know proud of themselves and they know who they are. So most of the times what they do, they do not want to die they do not want to die alone in this. So what they do, they want to take the empath with them. So what they will do, they will share this frequency with you. For the most of you guys who have not seen my video of the NAC frequency, I may also have to share that video in the link section below, because I cannot go back to those videos. And you guys have got to go back and understand the frequency of the narcissist. So we are talking about fear, guilt, shame, self-esteem, all these kind of things. Very low vibrational stuff. You know what I mean? So I had to understand energy, I had to understand vibration, and I had to understand frequency. So then the second thing what I did, now I started to look at the narcissist and start to decipher their frequency, their energy, and their vibration. You know what I mean? And then that's when I knew that at the end of this entanglement, I had gotten involved with the narcissist too much enough that now I was a part of their frequency. Let me repeat this. When I left the narcissist, I discovered that actually I had gotten involved too much with the narcissist, that now I was a part of their frequency. So at some point, of course, like I don't say it's 100%, but at some point, the victims of narcissistic abuse, when they're living those kind of entanglements, they also end up looking like the narcissist, because remember, you are now vibrating at the NAC frequency. You have taken up a lot of their personalities, you've taken out a lot of their styles, their characters and everything, and sometimes most of the empaths, at the end of those entanglements, I'm talking about the discard, the empaths, they find themselves vibrating at the narc frequency, and for some reason, they are now starting to look like the narcissist. So I had to understand all these things by myself. I went to the research, I understood how the brain operates, how the brain works, and how the narcissist works, and frequency and energy and everything. So what I did now, during my research, I understood now that I have to make sure that I destroy this frequency. You know what I mean? Now, this subject is going to be very spiritual, guys. I want you to listen very, very closely. For the most of you guys, like I've said, for the most of you guys who are into religion, I will share the prayer with you. You want to pray, you're into prayer, that's okay. I'll share that thing with you in the links below. But again, you have got to understand, guys, yes, you may have been religious people, things like that, but those so-called pastors and church leaders and everything, they have not helped you on this journey. On this journey of narcissism, the pastors are nowhere to be seen. Those pastors that have been helping you in your religion or whatever, they are nowhere to be seen. But still, like I've said, you have got a right to believe whatever it is you want to believe. Everybody wakes up at their own time. When your time has come, you will wake up at your own time. So you can go and pray if you want to. If it's going to work for you, use that link below. I'm going to share that video in the link below. For the most of you guys who are not into prayer, because not everybody is religious, you may be atheists, you may be non-believers, you can use the practical methods of breaking a soul tie that I've shared earlier on in my videos. I'm also going to put that link below. The guys who are waking up, now this video is specific to those individuals that are waking up. You understand what is spirituality, you understand what is energy, frequency, and vibration. You know that everything starts in the brain. There's a part of the brain called the subconscious mind. So the narcissist spends a very huge amount of time, a very big chunk of you guys' entanglements, and now they're manipulating that part of your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, it reads energy, it reads frequency, it reads vibration. So when your subconscious mind in the beginning of those entanglements, you meet up with the narcissist, the subconscious mind is going to pick up on that energy. You know what I mean? So now the narcissist is going to start programming your mind according to their frequency. Let me repeat this. The narcissist is now going to start to program your mind to do things what they do, to reason like them, to vibrate like them. So now you're going to start to vibrate exactly how the narcissist does. So what happened is that during my research, I found a frequency called the 396 frequency. I'm going to share that frequency on the screen on this video. I'm going to share the screen. Look on the right or the left, somewhere down there. I'm going to share that frequency with you guys. When I listen to that frequency, I want you guys to listen very closely. I want you guys to listen very closely to this video. When I listen to that frequency, now remember, I was a person who was desperate. I was desperate to heal. I knew that the healing was up to me. If I didn't do this, there was nothing to lose, because even for the starters, for the beginning, to start with, I'd already lost so much and there was nothing to lose. So I started to have to go into desperate means to heal. So what I did, I discovered a frequency called the solfeggio frequency. That is, if I remember well, that solfeggio frequency is the 396 Hz frequency. And that frequency, it destroys subconscious activity going on in your subconscious mind. So when you listen to that frequency, normally what happens is that I used to listen to that frequency in the night when I was going to bed. I would listen to that frequency. So this happened like, it could have taken me like a month, because I made sure that I kept on listening and listening. So what the 396 Hz frequency does, it starts to reprogram your mind. You know what I mean? So it starts to take out whatever doesn't belong to you. You know what I mean? For some reason, it shapes your brain and it shapes your subconscious mind and starts to release whatever doesn't belong to you, whatever it is you picked up from your energies around you, the frequencies and energies around you, anything that is not in alignment with you, that frequency now, it transmits that energy and it takes out of the subconscious mind. So how you're going to know that this is working, and these are the things I've also seen. So normally when you're going to sleep, in those days when I was performing that, when I was doing that, when I was listening to that frequency, what used to happen in those days is that in the nights when I was going to sleep, when I slept, actually when I was sleeping, I would now start to see everything. Everything started coming back to me, because remember, these things have been very, very deep ingrained in the subconscious mind by the narcissist. So my frequency would now start to uproot all these things and it will bring them back. So this is like for you sitting down and you're watching your life on the TV. You know what I mean? So my life started playing out like, it was like I was sitting down and I was watching everything on a very big screen. You know what I mean? So I started seeing all these things that was going on in the background. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of black magic, there was a lot of witchcraft, there was a lot of things had been going on, people. Let me tell you something, when you're dealing with the narcissist, guys, if you're still alive and you're still breathing, I will appeal to you, you start parking yesterday. You were supposed to start parking yesterday. For the month that I've been using, that was 2.5 years ago when I just awakened, because I started using this frequency. This frequency plays. You can use your headphones if you're listening to this. Like I said, again, I'm going to share that frequency with you. You can put your headphones and you can play this frequency for about an hour. I used to do it for an hour. Sometimes you can do it for 30 minutes. But especially if you're dealing with trauma bond and you've just left the narcissist, it will be better for you to use this frequency for about at least 1 hour, until at the end of 1 hour, that's when you can now release, switch off the television or whatever. If you guys are using a TV, maybe you're using a phone, you can now switch off your phone and go to sleep. Whatever it is you're going to see in your dream, it is very important, guys. I've always told you guys, you have got to have a dream journal next to your bed. So whatever it is you see in that dream, your subconscious mind now is going to start to show you the things that have been happening behind in your brain, the things that you have not been aware of. So your subconscious mind now is going to start to show you a lot of people. If the narcissist has been your parents, the subconscious mind is going to start to show you a lot of people, your parents, and sometimes you may even be lucky. It may even sometimes show you some of the things they've been doing to you. So if there have been some kind of people who are involved with things like black magic and witchcraft and those things like that, your subconscious mind is going to put you down and it's going to show you everything on a very big screen. So when you're dreaming, you're watching your life that has been happening during the toxicity that has been involved with, because remember, you're using this solfeggio frequency, which is the 396 hertz, and that frequency is now reprogramming your brain out of that NAC frequency. You know what I mean? So it is showing you all the energies you've been involved with, the people you've been involved with, whatever they've been doing to you. You're going to see a lot of individuals. For me, in my own personal journey, I kept on seeing a lot of toxic individuals that had been all along been a part of my life, of course, including the narcissist. But the time that I knew that I'd actually beaten the trauma bond was the time when I dreamed that I had a specific dream, and in this dream, I noticed that there was a lot of blockages. So the narcissist had used a lot of voodoo things and witchcraft things like that. So I was fighting with witchcraft. You know what I mean? So there was this narrow path. I was walking in the narrow path, and this narrow path was full of all this kind of witchcraft stuff on the way. So I was walking and like kicking them off the way. You know what I mean? So I was like kicking them off the way. So when I kicked all these things out of the way, I reached another door, and that door was locked. You know what I mean? So when I reached that door, I looked behind at the narcissist. Now there was a person next to the door. There was a small woman next to that door, and that woman did not want me to pass through that door. You know what I mean? But I knew that along that path that I've been walking in that dream. Now we're talking about the dream. As I was walking in that path along that dream, along that path, I was kicking away a lot of things that had been put along my way. So these were a lot of stuff involved with witchcraft. There were things that I could not even explain until this moment. But I knew these were things involved with black magic and witchcraft and all these things like that. So I kicked them out of my way. And at the end of that path, there was a very big door. And that door, I had to kick that door open and go through the door. Now, when I went through the door, I looked back where I was coming from, and I saw the narcissist was coming around with a very little kid. Now, the narcissist in that time, she was very angry because I had removed all these things out of the way. You know what I mean? The narcissist was very, very angry and agitated with me. You know what I mean? But I noticed that whatever it is that I was kicking out of that path, it was also making the narcissist, it was also hurting and breaking down the narcissist. So whichever item I kicked out of my path, it was breaking down the narcissist. You know what I mean? So when I reached the door and I kicked the door open, actually I had to kick my door because there was a person sitting next to that door, and that person did not want me to get through the door. So when I reached that door, I had to kick that door to open it up. Actually, I kicked that door and I broke that door and I went through that door to the other side. Now, when I looked back to where I was coming from, the narcissist was carrying a baby, and she came around following me and crying. And she was asking, why did you do this? Why have you done this? You know what I mean? You know, this is my life. You shouldn't have taken this. You shouldn't have taken that. You know what I mean? So I noticed that actually at the end of that dream, I had to kick a lot of things out of my way and break the door that was, so the door was some kind of a blockage. When I started to understand this dream, what it meant, now that's when I knew that this door that I reached at the end. Now, of course, I'm not saying you're going to dream about the same thing that I saw. A lot of you guys, things are going to manifest differently. Sometimes you may find yourself in the dream you're fighting with the narcissist. So you may sometimes see them doing small things to you. You're in arguments, you're fighting, or these things like that. But I want you to pay very close attention, guys. Whenever you start to use this frequency, I want you guys to pay very close attention. Whenever you find a case whereby you are in that dream, and for some reason you have conquered, you have beaten down, you have killed, you have stabbed them, you have shot them, or sometimes you have, if anybody happens to die in that dream, if anybody happens to get hurt in that dream, if anybody happens to fall and that person has been the narcissist or some of their flying monkeys or things like that, it could be their children, it could be their parents, it could be the narcissists themselves, it could be their pets. But if anything happens to die or break down or get injured during the dream, in that process of the dreaming, anything that breaks down, it is going to make you understand that you have actually beat the trauma bond. It is what is going to make you understand, and you're going to notice that from that point onwards, your life is going to start to transform in a very faster way, a way that you've never seen before. Because the significance of those dreams is that when you're breaking that frequency, when you're breaking down that frequency and getting out of the dark frequency, that frequency is destroying all the subconscious activity that has been going on in your brain, that has been programming you and putting you to sleep. So you're breaking out of that sleep. So it is going to manifest in your dream whereby you are going to for somehow defeat. You're going to defeat somebody. You may, like I said, you may defeat the narcissist themselves. You may defeat their parents. You may defeat their children. You may defeat their pets. But somebody has got to be punished, or somebody has got to be defeated in that dream. Whether the defeat has come through a fight, like somebody has been shot or something like that, or you guys have been, there was a stabbing going on and you have won. If you ever claim victory in any of those dreams, that is a significance. That signifies that you have successfully broken the tie that you had with that individual. So, like I've said in my videos, I've seen a lot of guys, they've been writing, oh, you know, there was a dream they had the dream like this, and then in that dream, the narcissist was shot, the narcissist was in prison. Sometimes you can even dream that the narcissist has been thrown in prison, they have gone to prison. Anything you do and it claims and it shows you victory in that dream, it replies and it means, it signifies that you have successfully broken the trauma bond. And you're going to notice that from that day onwards, now your mind is going to start releasing the narcissist energy. The narcissist is going to start getting out of your mind, and you're going to stop to think about them. You're going to stop to look for them. You're going to, even looking at them will be a problem. For them, even sometimes showing up in your vicinity, in your proximity, it is going to be a problem to look at them. You don't want to see them anywhere near you. You know what I mean? That is when you're going to know. So if you ever come to that conclusion, like I said, this may not be for everybody else, but this is going to be for the people who decide to use the frequency I'm talking about. So this may be a situation whereby now you're going to see a situation, you're going to find yourself, you have released their energy. You don't want to see them, you don't want to talk to them, you do not feel them, you don't even want to come near them. Even if they come near to you, they are very disgusting. You don't even want to be in a close range next to them. You want to stay as far away as you can from them. So in this video, like I said, I'm going to share that I'm sharing that frequency with you. For the most of you guys who are waking up, maybe I know it's going to take a little bit of while to understand this. So you may not be there yet, but I understand because I've done my research as well. If you're a person who is going through, especially the guys who are going through a spiritual awakening, if you're going through a spiritual awakening and you've understood how energy works, frequency and vibration, I'm going to share that frequency with you. You are going to go and use that frequency. You can use it as long as it takes. For me, like I said, it may be a month. For you, you may use it for a week, you may use it for 20 days, you may use it for 15 days. But in anything that you dream about in those dreams, yes, you're going to have a lot of nightmares. And the secret is do not be worried about these nightmares. The nightmares are supposed to happen because now your life, your subconscious mind is bringing out everything on the big screen so that now you can see whatever it is you've been dealing with, the people have been dealing with, the energy that have been putting along your way, the black magic that have been performing against you. Sometimes you might even be surprised. You're going to see a lot of people at this video. They're your own brothers, they're your sisters, they're your parents. But each and everybody that has been involved in destroying you as an individual, whether you have been knowing it or whether you knew it or don't, or you didn't know it, any individual you see in the moment that you're using that frequency, those were the individuals that were part of the problem. Now your subconscious mind is bringing out everything in front of you and showing you what is exactly going on behind the veil and behind the scenes. So for the most of you guys into spirituality, you understand what is spirituality, you've come to the conclusion and you understand what is energy, frequency and vibration. I advise you to use that frequency, especially the guys who are struggling to break the trauma bond. You are still following up the narcissist, you cannot move on, you cannot find some some new activities to do. You cannot get up in the morning. There's nothing you can do. You have been discarded and you're suffering and you're hurting. I want you guys, there's nothing to lose. Go and use that frequency. It's called the solfeggio frequency. It is a frequency that destroys subconscious activity that is going on behind your brain. So it takes out that frequency and it brings you back to the person, your original self, the person that you're meant to be. And if that works, guys, like as always, you always have to get back to me. Like I've always, guys, you've noticed that in my videos, I share with a lot of information because I have been in narcissistic abuse before. I've been a victim of narcissistic abuse. I have survived that, and most of the cases, the reason why I'm giving a lot of these techniques and information, because I also want you to heal, because through the healing, that is exactly when your freedom is going to start, and you eventually going to become a newer version of yourself and get out of the narc frequency. If anything resonates, guys, let me know in the comment section below. As always, I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Much love and blessings. Leave me a comment, guys. If you need a session, of course, get in touch with me. My email is in that section below. You want to donate, you want to support this channel, all the information you want is in the description below. Let me know what you think as well, and share this video, guys. It's very important. Share this video, because by sharing, you also reach other souls out there who are like you and who also need this kind of information to heal after narcissistic abuse. Let me know what you think, guys. Much love and blessings. There's more signing out. Peace.